Yo, ministry's hard. Bro, I remember whenever we were struggling so bad with worship.
Which time?
We had a 14-year-old girl leading worship for us.
Oh, pre-me.
Pre-you.
Yeah.
14-year-old girl leading worship for us. She was amazing.
So
Angie's
good.
so good. I don't know what she's doing now or where she's at, but she was an amazing anointed gift.
Yeah, super talented.
She's so cute.
There was a Christmas service where we were going to sing Away in a Manger, and Mr. Buddy was the only one that knew the song, and all the other musicians froze. And so we just sang Away in a Manger to Mr. Buddy on the bass all by himself. Boom, 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 boom. And that's how we made it through Away. Christmas carols are hard anyways, but that's how we made it through Away in a Manger. And I remember it was around that season. I can't remember exactly the exact date, but I remember telling Tony, at that time me and Tony were the only ones on staff, and I remember telling him, I'm going to get away, I'm going to lock myself in a room, and I'm going to fast and pray until the Lord answers me. And I went to my mom and dad's little pool house, and all it had in it was a little couch bed futon thing. And I just laid in there and cried and prayed for a few days, and it was like, okay. And I walked out, and I called Tony, and I said, all right, I'm ready. We're going to hire Simeon Sloan. And he said, we can't afford to hire Simeon Sloan. And I said, I'm just telling you what the Lord spoke to me. So I called you, and I was like, hey, bro, let's do this thing. And it's 10 years ago, and you know, I tell people all the time, especially guys who have great ambition and can't figure out how to surround themselves with high-quality people. I tell people all the time, my selling point to you was take this job that nobody wants, and one day you'll have a job that everybody wants.
Yep.
And I think you're in that season now. I think you
sure.
see that you're in that season now. But, man, ministry's hard. So in the last 10 years, all of a sudden you – been through some ups and downs. This little girl walks into the church, and her eyes sparkle at you, and now y'all been married for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? 4 years. Wow, that flew by. Because COVID, y'all were like having those dates outside on the front porch of the church type thing,
COVID
right?
was
literally at the picnic table.
Yeah.
COVID was end of COVID year, engaged.
Yeah.
And
COVID was terrible for us because
hard.
We
terrible.
You know, you have those hard boundary guidelines, and it's like we meet in public, and there's like nowhere to go.
Because dating on staff. So let's start here. Dating on staff. As a single man, I'm going to say this, there were times where we were having to have hard conversations about dating and, okay, hey, listen, if you're going to date this girl, not that he ever dated anyone other than Olivia, but if you're going to date this girl.
Okay, I know he did.
If you're going to date this girl, XYZ, 1, 2, 3, here goes how you're going to do it. Yeah. And so dating as someone on staff is hard. Ministry's hard. Mm-hmm. And so now you're dating somebody, you're on staff at the church is growing, church is thriving. Talk about dating on staff and how difficult that is.
It's difficult because it's opposite of everything culture says is cool.
Yeah.
And in order to be who you should be, you've got to put parameters in place that can keep you in check, keep the other person in check, and allow your ministry to be healthy, allow your relationship to be healthy now and in the future. And that was something that was difficult for me because I was hard-headed.
And you allowed me a role in your life very, very fatherly to be able to put some parameters in place that you followed that I would put in place for my children.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, hey, you're not going to go to her apartment and be alone together. You're not going to, stepping in there and helping her move a couch or something like that, that's different. But you're not going to go sit down, lay on her couch and watch a movie together. You're not going to There were some things, same things I would put into place for my children.
Yeah.
And I would hope somebody who loved them spiritually would put in place for their children. And we put some parameters in place, and
I didn't even know what his bedroom even looked like
Until we moved him out.
out.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is like a whole like dark room. There's no windows. Like, how do you live like that?
and that's all he had was a bedroom at that time.
Yeah.
Like it's not
It was
like
a
she
layer.
knew like what the rest of his house was
Yeah.
like. No, that's all he had was that bedroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just go up the stairs and it's like a bathroom and a bedroom. And
Yeah.
I literally had never gone up the stairs at all. Like
Yeah.
to paint. We were painting it. But other than that, I was like, this is crazy.
So a pastor out there watching this, and he's got a staff member on staff that's single, and he starts dating someone. Give that pastor some advice.
It's tough. You've got to know your relationship with that staff member, first of all. You would earn that place in my life to be able to speak that to me and to be able to put those parameters in place.
For sure.
And so, but you also have to know not just your relationship with that person, but you've got to know that that person may struggle with things.
Yep.
And that is accountability. That's where that comes from. And so for me, I had some issues in my life that I really needed help with, and I had been honest with that. And so we had to, walk this out. And so for me, it may look different than it did for everybody or for some other people, but that's what I needed, in that season of life. And so, you've got to know that. You've got to.
What? How crazy Olivia's pretty honest with her story. Party girl,
I was like my previous relationship, I was literally living with them.
Yeah.
So I went from like, who is this guy trying to tell me what I can
I
and
can't
can't
go in
do?
his room. I'll do what and
But like,
No, you
there-
can't.
But
No, you
you
can't.
you kept it so clean and cool that it didn't even feel like I didn't even resent you for it. It was more like, okay, he cares enough about us and his ministry. Okay, like I get it, Like even so to where our cars couldn't even be parked at the church at the same time
Yeah.
because what it looks like, what's perceived, and totally get that.
y'all, I can't remember what happened. Y'all went on a day trip to Carowinds or something and met somebody there, and her car was parked there with you, and y'all early that morning, you're sending me a text going, hey, just want to let you know, here's what's happening. That way, if you
Yeah.
get any questions, her car is here because we're on a trip to Carowinds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because we had taken my car, but her car was there.
yeah.
And yeah, I would just
He
clarifying.
I'll never forget. I had this tiny little studio apartment in Market Commons, and I was like on my deathbed sick. Like I could not move, and I don't have family here, so I barely was able to even text him. I was like, I need medicine. Like, I feel like I'm dying. And it's tiny. Like, you open the door, hello. And so I'm on the couch, and he had a handful of meds, and he didn't even come in. He just, throws it to me on the couch. I was like, thank you.
Thank you. But this is
was
this is
good.
cool conversation because for me, ministry's hard because you live in a glass house.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if, Caleb right now is dating, his girlfriend of a couple years. They're very serious, and we still put these same rules in place for him, and nobody cares if Caleb's not on staff here, and nobody cares if Caleb's not, doesn't have that calling on his life. But because he does, people, you live in that glass house, people are
Yeah.
throwing rocks. And so I would have tried to protect you even if it wasn't for the glass house, but ministry's hard because you live in a glass house.
Yeah, absolutely.
If y'all are fighting,
really
I
do.
bumped into y'all one day. Me and Maddie bumped into y'all one day. Y'all were in Marshall's, and y'all were fighting. And you had spent too much money on something, and
I don't even remember
and
this.
you didn't like a shirt that he had picked out, and he was, I don't remember what it was, but you could tell y'all were in different parts of the store, and you live in a glass house. You're
that's
in
funny.
those moments, and if you're not careful,
I do remember this. Okay, yes.
yeah, you're in those moments,
remember.
and I don't even know if y'all were married at that time or whatever, but you're in those moments, and we specifically live in a glass house.
Yes.
People see you on Sunday morning, and they could not imagine Simeon ever coming down from the mountaintop of worship to be a real human being.
Yeah.
They cannot imagine Simeon getting on the softball field
And being a jerk.
and being a jerk. And it's so foreign to them why Simeon would come off of the mountaintop from his, this beautiful place of worship to come down to the softball field to be a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That is a deep hole. I mean, there's so many aspects of it that we can talk about. Upbringing, how I, was very competitive always, like in a healthy way, but I think I turned it unhealthy myself, and how I allowed it to kind of, affect me.
You and Travis Cotton almost fought on the softball field one time.
Yeah.
It affected y'all's relationship for years.
At least a year, yeah, for sure.
Softball games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God we're not there anymore, and we're brothers,
Basketball, was
but-
it you and Caleb, or Caleb and Johnny, or Caleb, who was it that you were upset on with basketball? Oh, yeah, another guy that's not on staff anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Caleb didn't like him for wouldn't talk to him for like 6 months
I remember that.
because of a confrontation on the basketball court.
Yeah, it's
That's tough.
I hate that, I hate that. Even though looking back, some of the things that I've said or done, they weren't wrong or whatever, like
Sure.
maybe even had righteous motives, the way I've done what I've done or said what I said just was wrong. And it's the attitude in which it was done was wrong. And
Do you think living in a glass house is wrong? Like, do you think it's unfair that we live in a glass house?
no, because the Bible says that we're going to be judged
I
more
agree.
harshly. And I don't
If
think
it
that
wasn't
means.
for a glass house, I would screw up all the time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because my flesh, I'm constant. Y'all remember how I was so far gone?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, if there's a mom watching and their child is so far gone as
Yeah.
they can far gone be.
Yeah.
That's where I was. So for me to even be here is an absolute miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to relearn everything, church, everything church. I was raised Southern Baptist. It was different. It was just a check mark on Sunday, but church is life here.
Yeah, I think for me the thing with living in a glass house is that it helps to bring accountability to your life. It helps to and it's not people watching this that are be like, "Oh, you're so judgy, condemning, people cussing, and you're thinking this way about them." No. I know what people expect of me.
Yeah.
If I walk around right now and there's people that don't even like you drinking Monsters,
Yeah.
They'll tell you on Sunday too.
If I walk around with a cigarette in my hand right now, I don't think you're going to hell for smoking a cigarette, but I
Yeah.
think there's people that I think the majority of our congregation wouldn't want me smoking.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of glass house that I'm talking about living in. There's people that they don't care how their kids act, but they expect my kids to act a certain way.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't care how they treat their wife, but they expect you to treat your wife a certain way.
Yeah.
They don't care how they treat their husband. They expect you to treat your husband a certain way. And so I think in living in a glass house, you understand that this is not bad. This is okay that I'm living in a place to where eyes are on me to give me accountability. And that's totally okay. I'm good. I get it, and I'm okay living this level of accountability.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about the struggle in ministry's hard, and how the struggle of everything we do is revolving around church life, church world, church things. From now we're on staff. Now all of our friends are on staff, and all of our things we do, extracurricular activities, are all with, church. It's all church. Does that make it harder or more difficult to serve the Lord?
Mm.
I think it makes it easier
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's all one and it's not. Now you do have other boundaries, with certain things, but I mean, I love going to the beach with Maddie on Fridays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or whoever wants to go. It's you're literally doing life, and that's not something that I grew up with or am used to. So
Yeah, me either, honestly. It was because ministry was traveling, and ministry was, very unique to what most people even consider ministry to be. That the way I grew up, ministry was just different. So now to have this and to have a home and a people group that are family, it's just different, and I definitely think it makes it easier.
it almost holds you more accountable as well too, because I'm the same person I am anywhere else. You know what I mean? And so doing life with people, you get to be who you are, and they get to see and hold you accountable for always being the same person
Yeah.
in church and even out, like when you're doing things together or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Ministry's hard, man. We have campuses that are trying to get worship programs started. Let's talk about the difficulty of worshipers
Mm.
that crave a platform more than they crave opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe a great way to phrase it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who come through our world that want to, we phrase it, play on the big stage
Yeah.
and struggle showing up for a worship night tonight
Mm.
and sitting around, just worshiping the Lord together. Struggle with some of the non-glamorous parts of worship.
Yeah.
Worshipers, worship leaders specifically, probably known as, maybe some divas. Probably not through the fault of worship pastors in local congregations, but probably through mostly travel ministries that, I want all my,
Yeah.
orange M&Ms and, this kind of, and so you have
divas.
these things that people, it's almost created a weird aura around worshipers, worship leaders,
The
and
green room.
green room.
Yeah.
Green room life is weird, and you just hear the unrighteous stories flowing from them. I guess maybe less about how to handle it and more about just the heart connected to the struggle of somebody wanting to worship for the platform and not for the opportunity.
I mean, I think I love the story of David, and I kind of always go there. It's my favorite story growing up in the Bible. But he worshiped the Lord the same in the field and with the sheep, and he was totally fine staying there. He literally got plucked from the field and taken to the palace. And I think sometimes we, instead of being totally content with where we are, we search for the palace and we search for the stage. And instead of being satisfied with just being in his presence in the field. And I think it really, worship as a whole has been glamorized to the point of celebritydom now. And when you even within the local church,
Even inside a local church,
it makes it gross and weird, and it's even, I mean, you understand this when somebody comes up to you on a Sunday morning and tells you you've done a good job. It just almost feels like this, you're obliged to say something, and it's just awkward. It makes me uncomfortable. I didn't do this for you. I thank you. Like,
wow, you crushed that song.
Yeah.
Whew, when you did that run, it was amazing.
Yeah. I didn't do that for you. That was just the overflow of my heart for worship.
Yeah.
And it's
And the flip side is you've been in seasons where you you could and you have done it sheerly because
Absolutely.
I have a gift and I can do this.
Yeah.
I can sing like this and I can play like this, and I'll just do it where spiritually you haven't been right.
Yeah.
And now you're in a season where God is just really, he's beautiful in this season. That he's always beautiful, but for you, you're in this beautiful season with him where it's awesome to be able to say, I didn't do that for you.
Yeah.
I did that for him. And on Tuesday morning or Thursday morning when we're worshiping together as a staff, we're acting the same way as a staff as whenever there's 2,000 people
It's the
here.
field.
Right.
It's the field.
Right. We do this in the, we always say it about the we always say it about like the flag people
Yeah.
that want to come down to the front and center often.
Yeah.
Typically.
Mm-hmm.
And can you do it in the top of the balcony where nobody can see you?
Yeah.
Do you do it in your prayer closet that way?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if so, if it's just an overflow of who you are, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's genuine.
Yeah. That's cool, man. They're content in the field.
Yeah.
Not searching for the palace.
No, and not just content, like you're doing it with joy in the field.
Yeah.
Like that's something that for me is like super important, that we do it with a good attitude. No, if we're leading worship with a good attitude. Or otherwise, we're not going to. We're gonna.
Ministry's hard. Why do people not have good attitudes in ministry?
Because people be
it's hard?
peopling. I don't know.
Like on your job, did people come in with bad attitudes whenever you were at the plumbing company?
Oh yeah, it was up and down and up and down.
People just had bad attitudes.
Yeah, they're just miserable.
So interesting. I was never taught that.
Yeah.
There was like such. I find out more and more how weird I was raised in such a beautiful way. But like we were just raised that there's just this excitement going to church.
Yeah.
And so like, my parents talked about the excitement that we're walking into, and you're like, yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. And
yeah.
And for me, I was excited to play football afterwards with my friends, or to, sit on the back row and pass notes. But there was an excitement about coming to church.
Yeah.
And now it's a weird, and I'm sure there were mean, negative people back then, but I don't know how we got to this place where people just have some bad attitudes sometimes, and there's no joy in people's lives.
I was so happy because after church I got to go to Dairy House and walk down the hill and get ice cream and a hot dog.
Dairy House.
I just thought about that.
Dairy
House.
Queen's brother?
We had. No, it was just a hole in the wall.
Just a hole in the wall.
Like the hand scoop.
Old
Soft
Dairy
serve.
House.
They had a little gazebo. You could like walk down the hill from church.
Old Dairy House. Yeah, ministry's hard, and I guess people don't have joy because of how hard ministry is. But
I think for me, and I talk about this a lot with the team, I think we get to a place where ministry is pour out, pour out, pour out, pour out, and we don't ever allow the Lord to pour in while we pour out, because we're so focused on all these other things. And for me, I talk about it all the time, and I pray this every week, twice a week when I'm with the team doing practices and before service. I always say this, and they can all attest to this, that, Lord, I pray today that ministry, that when we leave this place, we leave full, that we don't leave empty.
Fill us to the full.
Yeah, we don't leave like we've poured out and we don't have anything left.
Amen. That
we leave with something that as we've poured out, that you've poured back into us. And I truly believe that there's, something to the, the whole leading from a place of overflow.
For sure.
And it's, when you're not overflowing, it's hard. Ministry's hard.
I think we just forget like our why. Yeah. And it's so easy to do when you just get going with life and it's busy. And even like starting this job was overwhelming to me because I was like, it's not just church. Like it's all this other stuff that goes along with it. And it's amazing. It's incredible, but you have to always remember why you're here, or you'll lose it and you'll just get lost in your tasks. And I mean, it's hard to do, to compartmentalize all of that and figure out, okay, I'm a big boundaries person. So I know when I need to take quiet time and step back and not do softball or not do kickball one season so that I can refill, so that I can pour in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the beauty of ministry being hard is if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
God's called you listening to this, watching this. God's called you to something higher, more, greater, better, whatever word you want to use. And you have to stay full so that you can pour yourself out. And ministry's hard for a reason. So that your reliance isn't upon your own strength, but it's upon
100%.
his strength, his power, his authority in your life. So anyways, thankful for y'all. Appreciate you.
Thankful
Thank
for
you
you.
for being a part of this life together.
Absolutely. Same here.
Wouldn't change it.
Peace.
See ya.